From Soundtoys, showing our new plugins here at AES. Take a look at Decapitator, which is our first big one. Decapitator is a professional analog saturation modeling plugin designed to give you the analog sound of high-end studio gear. We model several classic pieces of gear in the Ampex area, the EMI area, 1057 in the Nevish area, the triode and pentode are tube modes. So each one of them represents a kind of category of classic analog gear. Simple controls on the front allow you a low cut. We haven't actually labeled it yet, so you're seeing an early version of it. A high cut, and the tone knob is a tilt filter for EQing bass and treble simultaneous. Drive pushes the drive on it. Mix allows you to mix the original signal back in, and we'll talk about punish in just a second. So I'm going to play some sound here for you, give you some drums, and let you listen to the Ampex. Oh, I'm going to run out of audio right when I say that. Okay. So we get some gain. Saturation going on there. Back in here we started hearing some of the Mastic. We buy some fast, you can hear what's going on. Not just volume, but there's some interesting things going on with the hi-hats and the snare drum. Even more so on the TG, you start hearing more compression on just the snare. It really kind of pops it out of the mix. The 1057, though not really designed for drums, it's really nice when you push it. That kind of compressed suck sound, and that works out really nice when you mix back to the original. Triodes are darker tubey sounds and mid-rangey on that drive. Down in this area it's just a nice warm feel with a lot of punch. Same thing with the pentode. And if you need more, you press the punish button, and that increases the drive. Very, very over the top. Which can also be mixed back in. And can be tonal shaped here too. So if you're looking to really distort kind of one area, maybe the snare drum, you can drop out a lot of those, a lot of the highs, find the shape, find the mode that fits your snare drum just right. There it's kind of popping, maybe you drive it a little bit more, and then mix that back in. So a lot of tonal control, a lot of variation. It can be used just like the analog gear was. You can use it incredibly subtly and just barely touch things with it, or you can really drive it like a lot of the engineers like to drive and mix things back in. I think it's got a lot of flexibility with a pretty simple interface, so you can get into it fast, and you know, the people who are into distortion are going to really love the sound of this. A lot of magic going on. The other new plugin that's coming out is Pamman, which is our auto panner. I'll show you Pamman on this kind of random synthesizer track first, which VST, yes, they will be TDM, RTAS, VST, and audio units. What Pamman allows you to do is set up a trigger divider like the old PanScan, original analog hardware, and it'll count the number of triggers before it moves to the next event. So you can have 2, 3, 12, whatever before it moves. I like to put it down around 2 so this kind of spastic thing jumps all over the place. Transition is the amount of time it takes to move from each event, so I can have a nice slow movement, or I can have that kind of really fast spastic thing. Width width pushes the width either narrow or wide. If you go all the way to max, it actually pushes it into out of phase past the speakers, so you get outside of the speaker range. If you're very narrow, I'll switch over to this pad so we can demonstrate that a little bit better. See on the width we're going full range here. If I narrow it down, I can make a very tight pan just in between the speakers, and I can use my offset to move it over to the left. It's kind of like panning your pan, so you can just pan over on this side, right or left, either direction. In the rhythm mode you have groove or swing or shuffle, so you can add a little bit of groove to your track. If you're doing something a little faster, you might want to have a little swing on 8th notes. And on Pamman, we've created a new rhythm editor that allows you to go in and actually position each event wherever you want to put it, which is very reminiscent of our original rhythm editor, but this one actually is labeled left, right, center, so you can actually put your pan in each space. I can change the 16th notes and drop in another 16th note there. Turn my width back up again. So between the modes we have the step mode, which allows you to use a trigger, so it's pulling the rhythm off of the audio. We have random mode, which is a sync to MIDI random, clock to the MIDI clock, ping pong, which is also triggered, and with the divider, which is a bounce back and forth, that straightforward ping pong, LFO with selectable waveforms. And it also has your dynamics here, so you can actually control the speed based on the audio input. And of course our rhythm mode. Each of the triggered mode also features a tweak button, which allows you to run a filter on the trigger, so that you can actually trigger, if you're running drum loops, you can filter out everything except the kick drum to be the trigger. So it will only listen to the kick drum for the trigger. So pretty intensive plug-in for panning, for moving audio back and forth. There's a lot more options to it now. We also include our analog mode, just like we do on most of our other plugins. So you can add a little grit, you can add a little dirt, a little compression sound to it. So those are the two new plugins coming from Soundtoys. They should be out by the end of the year. We'll know pricing information later, not available right now, and we'll know a better release time hopefully in a couple of weeks and get that information out to everybody.